The moment a struggling single dad pointed across a crowded diner and called a powerful billionaire woman, "My wife," everyone at the table went silent. He knew he had just said something he could never take back. But what happened next changed two lives forever. She leaned toward him, her eyes filled with a strange mixture of surprise and emotion, and whispered, "Don't take it back." What she knew about him, and what he was about to discover about her, would prove that sometimes kindness arrives when you least expect it. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to Kindness Legacy Tales, like this video, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more stories about kindness, courage, and second chances. Daniel Carter was a single father doing everything he could to raise his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. After his wife died 3 years earlier, life had become a daily struggle. Daniel worked long hours repairing appliances around the city, but even with every job he could find, money was always tight. Still, Daniel had one rule he refused to break. His daughter would never grow up believing that being poor meant being less important. One rainy Saturday afternoon, Daniel took Lily to a small diner they visited whenever he could afford it. Lily loved the warm pancakes, and Daniel loved seeing her smile. As they sat in a booth near the window, Lily noticed a woman sitting alone across the room. The woman looked completely out of place. She wore a simple gray coat, but there was something elegant about her. Several people in the diner seemed to recognize her, whispering as they looked in her direction. Her name was Victoria Bennett. Victoria was a billionaire businesswoman known across America for owning one of the largest technology companies in the country. But that afternoon, she wasn't surrounded by assistants, security guards, or business partners. She was alone. And she looked sad. Lily watched her for a moment before whispering, "Dad, why is that lady crying?" Daniel glanced over. Victoria quickly wiped her eyes. Daniel lowered his voice. "Sometimes grown-ups cry too. Should we help her?" Daniel smiled sadly. "We don't always know how." But Lily was already reaching for the extra napkin on their table. She walked over and placed it beside Victoria. "You can use mine," Lily said. Victoria looked at the little girl, surprised. "Thank you," she whispered. Lily smiled and returned to her father. A few minutes later, Daniel noticed Victoria staring at Lily. He decided to say something. "Kids have a way of reminding us what's important," he said. Victoria smiled faintly. "I used to have a daughter." Daniel's expression softened. "Used to?" Victoria looked down at her hands. "She passed away when she was 6. Daniel didn't know what to say. "I'm sorry," he finally whispered. Victoria nodded. "Me too." For the first time that day, Daniel understood why she looked so lonely. They talked quietly for several minutes. Victoria told him that despite all her money, she had spent years feeling like she had nothing that truly mattered. Daniel told her about Lily and how difficult life had become after losing his wife. Then Lily returned to the table. "Dad," she said, "can she sit with us?" Daniel laughed nervously. Victoria looked surprised. "Only if she wants to," Daniel said. Victoria hesitated before joining them. For the next half hour, the three of them talked like old friends. Lily told Victoria about school. Daniel told a few funny stories about his repair jobs. Victoria laughed harder than she had in months. Then the waitress brought the check. Daniel looked at it and quietly counted the cash in his wallet. He was short. Victoria noticed. Before Daniel could say anything, she reached for the check. "I'll take care of it." Daniel immediately shook his head. "No. Thank you, but I can handle it." Victoria looked at him. "You don't have to prove anything to me." Daniel smiled. "Maybe not. But I want my daughter to know that her father can still take care of her." Victoria respected that. She put the money away. "Then let me do something else," she said. Let me help you find better work. Daniel shook his head again. I appreciate it, but I don't want charity. Victoria smiled. Neither do I. She reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. I need someone trustworthy to manage maintenance for several properties I own. It's a real job. Good salary. Benefits. You'd be helping me, not the other way around. Daniel stared at the card. You're Victoria Bennett? She nodded. Daniel nearly dropped it. Lily smiled proudly. I told you she was nice. Victoria laughed. Just then, two businessmen entered the diner and recognized Victoria. One of them approached. Ms. Bennett, your driver has been waiting outside. Victoria nodded. Daniel suddenly felt embarrassed. He had no idea he had been talking to one of the most powerful women in the country. As Victoria stood, Daniel nervously said, Well, my wife and I should probably get going. He froze. His wife. The words had slipped out because for one brief moment, sitting there with Victoria and Lily, the table had felt like a family. Victoria looked directly at him. Daniel immediately apologized. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. She stepped closer. Then she whispered, Don't take it back. Daniel stared at her. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. For the first time in years, she said softly, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Daniel didn't know what to say. Lily reached for Victoria's hand. You can come with us next Saturday. Victoria smiled through her tears. I'd like that. That Saturday became another Saturday. Then another. Victoria became part of Lily's life, not because Daniel needed her money, and not because Victoria needed someone to rescue her. They simply needed kindness. Daniel accepted the job and eventually opened his own repair business with Victoria's encouragement. Victoria began visiting children's hospitals and supporting families who had lost loved ones. But the biggest change happened inside Lily's home. There was laughter again. One evening, Lily looked at Daniel and asked, Dad, do you think Mom would be happy? Daniel looked at Victoria. Then he looked at his daughter. I think she'd be very happy that we're not alone anymore. Victoria squeezed Lily's hand. And Daniel realized something important. Kindness doesn't always arrive with a grand gesture. Sometimes it's a little girl offering a napkin to a stranger. Sometimes it's a father refusing to accept pity. Sometimes it's a woman with everything money can buy admitting that she desperately needs connection. And sometimes, one careless sentence can reveal a truth your heart was afraid to say. Daniel had called Victoria his wife by accident. But over time, that accidental moment became the beginning of something beautiful. Not because a billionaire saved a struggling father. Not because a single dad found wealth. But because three lonely people chose to be kind to one another. And that is the real power of kindness. You never know what someone is carrying behind their smile. You never know how much one small act can mean. So be patient. Be generous. Offer the extra chair. Share the meal. Listen when someone needs to talk. Because the kindness you give today may become the hope someone needs tomorrow. And sometimes, the people who seem to have everything are the ones quietly waiting for someone to remind them that they are not alone.